there's something I've read a lot about you and I've gone through your profiles and stuff. So it seems like you are more intrigued about Web3 gaming and stuff. So the questions that are going to be discussed in this interview are going to be very basic because we want our readers to know better about Web3 gaming, better about what NFTs are. So let's start off with a very basic question. Like, can you tell us like what is exactly the difference between Web2 gaming and Web3 gaming? How is that paradigm like? How it does it change from Web2 and Web3?
Absolutely. I think very importantly we have to understand is we are in the entire humanity is sort of a transition to tokenizing the world, right? We are getting into the digitalization of things. Of course, there are ideas that will work, there are ideas will not work, right? And something that I'm very excited about is thinking about games in a new way, right? Till now we have seen games getting more real, right? Probably when I
Yeah,
started, it was flight simulator. It felt like okay, it's almost
true.
like flying a
Mario
plane.
Kart.
Yes, now sounds have gotten more real. The simulation has gotten more and more real, and I think till that time we were all playing with virtual money within the game, right? And it was still fun. Of course, there was like games which is like casinos and gambling, which is completely outside. But I do believe that games are becoming more and more real, and financialization of games is going to be a next big experiment, or to say a big evolution. And it's a very natural evolution. It's not something that people don't want it. It's that people want it, but it's just going to have the right set. We're waiting for the right set of tools to come on board, right? When internet came, the multiplayer gaming started, and that's when you could play with anybody across anywhere. I think blockchain enables that power to sort of have a financial layer on top of anything. And I'm very excited about games in general because I've built a bit of maps, Counter-Strike maps, when I was growing up. I know how sort of games work, and when I look at it, a good case for crypto, I think games are just a natural fit. Now, what happens within games is still now games. Players have been playing games from an entertainment point of view, right? Players, people
Yeah.
playing. There's a little bit of esports coming in, which brings in a little more money circulation within the gaming sphere, right? But more importantly, games within the game economy, there's a lot of demand and supply of the assets that's being played around, and you can see that clearly in Steam stores or Steam marketplaces, Counter-Strike marketplaces. These are like early signs of what's possible. But I think there's a new evolution that is needed where it gets accessible to anybody and everybody, right? And I think blockchain gaming is what it is about. So in 2017, I started investing into small games. I mean, back then my ideas were like very crude. I thought, okay, it should work. And the biggest difference I saw was this, right? Like you have in gaming today, you have players only playing the games. Now suddenly you open up for players, investors, as well as traders. So the entire gaming changes. The gameplay changes because
Multi-ecosystem, yeah.
now suddenly there's a demand for certain type of assets, so players play around that. So there's an incentive which is real world incentive, right? If I play hours and hours playing a game, I just probably just upgrade my skill, but now I can actually make money out of it, right? And I think we talking about metaverse, we talking about living in a virtual world has to get real, and this is the beginning, and we are in those early days. So that's why I'm very excited about it. Probably another 5 years, you'll see this being very natural, where you play games. Like people were surprised that games like Candy Crush makes about 300 to 400 million dollars a year, and that's just a very simple game, right? So I think financialization of gaming in Web3 world would revolutionize the way we play game, the way we look at games. And I think I'm very excited about how that would be. We are still very early days, but let's see how that goes.
So I could feel the excitement coming up when, as you say, like games are getting more serious and monetization is not just one way, it's getting double way as well. So speaking of that, like we are still early. How do you see the user traction in this particular paradigm, like Web3 gaming? Have we attracted a lot of, user traction till now
Yes.
when compared to Web2?
Yes, I think it's any industry that starts early, right? You have people excited about it at the beginning, and then it
Yeah.
dies down, and then you have builders building onto it. One very basic fundamental that we see in the Web3 gaming, right? Till now, what happens is players were only a consumer in the market, right? They were only playing. They were only spending money. But now what happens is, from a revenue perspective, even they earn out of the game, right? So they are also partly involved in the project in however way. The game that does it really well is how they are able to build a better community, build all the sort of things. Now even they want this projects to be successful, right? There's a constant feedback about how things work. How, unlike a game that was probably like Counter-Strike, where there's only a developer making money. So it's a very community driven approach, and I really love that about Web3 gaming. However, of course, currently we are at a stage where we're just experimenting few things, right? There is there is something called as inflation deflation. In a web 2 game, inflation was okay because there was no secondary market. People did not think about secondary market. There's something called, where a player can go and sell something again. But in web 3 gaming, everything is an open market, right? So if you have too much inflation, you have the prices going down, like, Axie Infinity, Axies, which probably sold for like, $2,000 $3,000, now are going less than $1, right? And that's because of the inflations that is happening. So suddenly, even the developers have realized the mistakes that they have done. They are into phase 2 of saying, hey, you know what, we not only have to make a great game, we also have to have a great balance of economy, so that this can coexist. There are a lot of models that is going around where people are figuring it out, how do we do this. But I'm pretty sure the next generation game that we'll see will be far better in both having fun as well as, holding the economy right. Because see, Candy Crush is a very simple game, but still a lot of people play. So it's not just about a good game. In Web3, even if you have a good game, but if it's economically, always crashing, like, if people lose money, you don't attract people. So it's a new challenge for all the developers, all the players, as well as everybody who's involved. But I'm pretty sure we'll get over it, and that's the phase that we are getting into. And in next 2 years, you'll see great games coming out.
Thank you for your optimistic forecast for this industry. And speaking of which, like, yeah, fun, utility, and a good economy will definitely get us forward. And you also talked about models and stuff. So we have plenty of models right now. So we have a lot of X to earns, like play to earn, move to earn, and now we have watch to earn. A lot of earns and all these models are right there. How do you view this models coming up? Like, it's only P2E. People have more focus on P2E. A lot the GameFi expanding in this way. How do you see this? Like, there's a lot of
Right.
emerging
I think
trends
there
coming
are
up.
some fundamental models. Like, I've been working on a model called as Tegronomics. Just to give you an overview of what is that, and the problems that we have. Right. Doesn't matter whether play to earn, play to watch, whatever. Those are all functions, but there's an underlying economy that is below that. For example, in Web 2 world, right, in the gaming space, only 1 or 2% of the actual user base do in-app purchase. Right. So it's, if you have 100 million users, 100 million users don't buy. Only, probably 1% of the people, 100K or 200K people actually do in-app purchase. That's how these games make a lot of money. But in Web3 world, right, like, everybody has to be part of the cycle, right? It's like in real world, you don't get anything for free, right? Even if it is eating food, even if it is drinking water, there's a small price to be paid. So how do you build an economy where everybody's involved but also balanced for everybody, right? The way I look at economy is to be inspired from what is there today, right, which is already evolved, and sort of following basic models like Maslow's law of hierarchy, right? So you have a Maslow's law of hierarchy. So what that phase is there is, at the bottom level, there's something called as a need economy. So need economy is more like, food and water. Like, everybody needs it, right? If without that, it doesn't exist, right? Everybody needs food, water. Then comes the want based economy. So within game, what we have to think about is, hey, the game should have certain aspects within the game which everybody needs, but not very expensive. Without that, you cannot play the game. Could be bullets, could be some part of it. So developers have to think about it. Second is a want based economy. Want based economy is like, in real life, it's like a car or a house, right? It's good to have, right? It's not a need. It's like, hey,
Yeah,
if you have a car, you can go faster or travel faster. If you have a house, okay, you don't need to pay rent, or, you don't need to, you just own a house. Not everybody owns a house,
extra
right?
luxury.
Yes, so that's a want-based economy. It's just very simple. And then the top one is an achievement-based economy. Achievement-based economy is more like, hey, I don't want just a car. I want a Ferrari or a, Lamborghini, right? It's the same element but very rare in nature, right? Or I don't want just a house. I want a mansion. So you think about, not just a house. It's an achievement, the status symbol. So in the Web 2 world, actually, they only focus on the top of the pyramid, which is rare items, rare something, but the rest of the things don't exist, right? So, and without that, you cannot have a sustainable economy. What our model, which is more of an, open source model, where we are trying to tell more games, saying, hey, if you build all these things, you have a more sustainable economy. Now, whether you want to build this for play to earn, whether you want to build this for watch to earn, but ultimately you have to think about what is your need economy, what is your want economy, and what is your, achievement economy. And if you're able to think through this, you'll be able to build a more sustainable economy. That's the gist of it, what we have been talking about, which defines how much supply should be there, how much demand, how much price, what is rare. Like if the top part itself is not rare, then it's no longer rare, right? In Axie Infinity, the axes were supposed to be rare. 11 million axes is no longer rare, right? So
Yeah,
it automatically
agreed.
triple downs to rest of the game. So yeah, I mean, these are things that game studios have to get it right, and in this whole process, they'll be able to do some great work.
Got it. So this is basically like the technonomics that you are bringing up, like laying the blueprint or the foundation for the
Yes,
models
yes.
to build
This is a
some
little
shit.
different
Okay.
than what we are working. We are working on an exchange, but this is something that we have learned. Like I've been working with
Okay.
games since 2017, 18, and we learned it hard way that why this did not work, why that did not work, and that's how we
Hmm.
sort of built it out, experimented out practically, and learned from it. And then we said, hey, it falls into this structure, and how do we simplify for more developers to adopt?
Something very crucial to every game developers that they have to know. So, speaking of that, like we have in-game assets, and obviously crypto and NFTs play a major role when it comes to Web3 gaming. So, in that case, now the crucial topic that people have been talking about is NFTs are dead. So, this particular tagline that's going on everywhere, and people are from the market, people are justifying they are not dead. They're just slowing down. This is the very first NFT winter we have been through. So, speaking of this, and since Tegro started with, you basically started with the NFT niche and you just came up with the tokens and all that stuff. So, how do you view this, current dynamics of NFTs and the models that are
So
coming up evolving?
I think I'll go back to my history, right? Like,
Yeah.
so we when I started WazirX was started in 2017. Probably peak of another previous bull market. Maybe there were only 500,000 or 1 million users in India, or maybe a little bit, whatever the number was. There was an X number that was there across the world, and the bear market came. Everybody thought it's dead. Everybody's talking about it's dead, dead, dead. There's no market. Some regulation problem, that problem, this problem, and then most of them gave up. Some of them continue to build onto it or believe in it or invest into it. Folks like us, we were just still there, and the next market came in. And by the way, in 2017 also NFT existed. Okay, so it was so small that nobody even talks about it, right? In peak of, so there was this crypto kitties, which was basically NFT, which happened in 2017 December, and that's probably my intro into NFTs.
NFTs.
And fast forward, nobody spoke about it, and now again everybody talks about this is the first bear market for NFT, but actually this is the second bear market. But fast coming to the point, right, is what we have to understand is that these bear markets are primarily for people who are looking for price actions, right? People who are looking for, hey, how the price moves, and I want to make profit. And obviously when sudden things goes up, people come into it and then jump on it. But people at the core who believe in what this solves, right, they are more excited about it. So probably investors, traders are not happy, but builders are very excited about the space that we are in today. When I look at it, so of course, when with WazirX, same thing happened, right? We built during the bear market, and when the bull market came up, it was an celebration time for all
The
of us.
summer.
Of all the work we put together, suddenly WazirX also grew from like a 200 or 500, 700k users to 18 million users. So imagine every cycle brings more set of people, right? More set of people into it. So today, everybody who's got involved, imagine the market is going to only expand, and
Mhm.
when it expands exponentially. So I'm pretty excited about that expansion, and the opportunity for anybody who's involved in it, not just as an investor or trader, but anybody who's building into it or doing something around it. There's a lot of potential for everybody to be part of it.
Yeah, true. So this is actually a phase where we build and we expand the innovations for people, welcoming them to all that, like to adopt great stuff
To
in the
me,
industry.
I would say this is the last chance, right? This is the time to build, and just given everything and figure out what you want to build, and just keep building. If you're a builder, if you're somebody else, depending on what you do, right? I think this is the time.
True. And for us journalists as well, we are learning the market better since we are new entrants. I am a new entrant, so I'm learning this
Oh,
industry much better right now. So yeah.
yeah.
So
See, I mean, 3 years down the line, you can talk about, hey, how the bear market is. This is how the sentiment
yeah,
is, and this is how it evolves. So don't worry about it, right? So you'll have more wisdom in the next
true.
run.
This evolution is actually pretty great, and as a spectator, it's very good to watch things and be there in the market. So that's great. So yeah. So speaking of WazirX again, so when the shutdown of NFT marketplace of WazirX came down, how was it? How was the regulatory and the user base here in India, particularly
Yeah,
in
so
terms of NFT thing?
WazirX launched the NFT marketplace. I mean, WazirX was one of the first in Asia to launch a big marketplace. So we were also the
Mm.
biggest in Asia, and we were driving and fueling innovation like crazy, right? Right. However, from a regulatory perspective, it was very unclear, right? Like government doesn't know that what is a decentralized. There's no KYC on a DEX exchange, and those kind of things just complicated things, in terms of doing business around it. And our idea is that, hey, it's definitely going to be a next big thing, but probably taking this in a new approach maybe later makes more sense, and that's one of the reason that we sort of pulled it back. But otherwise, we do believe it's something that is definitely worth fighting for. I think WazirX is already fighting a lot of wars, a lot of battles, I would say, both to bring in crypto adoption in India, and doing a lot of things like first time within the regulatory space. So I think NFT market was just a very small part of it. So we thought we'll come back to that again later.
Okay, so we do have WazirX relaunch as well, NFT marketplace. Then we
Yeah,
will be.
we'll see when things are right. Right, we have to get the basic stuff for our users. Basic adoption, like getting access to crypto with their fiat, was not possible in 2018. By the way, in 2018 when we launched, there was a banking ban. It was, even if you had to buy $1 or a $10 worth of crypto, it was impossible. But only through WazirX you could do P2P, and you could do this, and we just made it possible for people to come on board. And I think that spirit still continues today. Also, our main motto is that how do we get people access to crypto at a very fundamental level, and then after that, a lot of other business flourish out of it.
Okay, that's a positive attitude that was it is examining, and the users are very excited to see a lot of like expansions, like the regulatory clearance coming up in this ecosystem as well. So speaking of regulations and stuff, there are certain pros and cons which both the centralized exchanges and the decentralized exchanges have. And now in Tegro, you're coming up with this hybrid model, SexTech. So how do you see like the how is the evolution of this particular model going to benefit the users? Like, can you highlight those pros at this point?
Sure. See, there are two very important things, right? WazirX is a very fiat exchange, and which gives access to crypto via your INR or anything else that you're doing. And I think it's a very important step for anybody to come on board. And today, WazirX is more working towards getting things regulated. There's a lot of when it's a financial institute, you have tons of things that has to be built, which is just around taxation, reporting, many things, just to make sure everything is in place. And a lot of efforts has been going into making sure it's safe for everybody, right? So that's the step one part of it. In the DEX world, right? DEX is, we are talking about literally having a metaverse exchange, right? Where people can take advantage of their own wallet, not have an FTX moment again where that you have to give your custody to somebody else. Our challenge when we put across is, hey, our goal was very simple, right? Today we have a generation one exchanges, AMM exchanges, which just is the tip of the iceberg, right? Which gives access to a retailer to probably swap and token, which is great. But it's not for serious investors, serious traders, or serious institutes. For we are getting things to the next generation, and what we are trying to do is give that scalability on a DEX exchange, as if you are doing a trade on a CX exchange. CX exchange is far more efficient than a DEX exchange for various reasons, right? There is no MEV attacks. There is no, people lose money. There's so millions of dollars have been lost in MEV attacks. But we wanted to make sure we have a trusted application, trusted exchange, which anybody can launch with their wallet, and even more so, an institution can easily do high volume trades, high frequency trades without losing money, and doing it more efficient. So that's our goal. At the end of the day, how do we bring what we did at WazirX? But WazirX, the biggest evolution that I worked on was to bring in a lot of institution in India to come on to WazirX, right? And we had really good big players playing around it, but they still can't come to Dex because Dex have not evolved for them. And our goal is to just make that possible, because I think we are all working towards making it efficient for everybody. And this is a final piece. How do you bring in an efficient market of a CEX to Dex? And we are working from bottom to up, trying to solve that problem.
That's great. So yeah, speaking of that, like, how is the relation between WazirX and Tegro?
So Tegro is a completely independent venture. I with WazirX now. I'm not in a full time role in WazirX. It's more
Mhm.
of advisory or however that has to go. But now I'm focusing more on a completely different challenge, which is outside India. It's a global problem to be solved. So
Mhm.
Tegro is a very global product, focusing on anybody and everybody across the world, and it will be more decentralized, focusing on anybody who wants to do serious trading, institutions or even retailers, to be able to do high volume trade. So the focus is primarily just around solving that problem and getting into masses at a high scale level.
Thank you so much for this simplified point on the relationship between these two entities. And speaking of this, another thing, yesterday evening we had quite a show of the Bitcoin ETFs confirmation coming up, and then they said it's a big news. So, how do you see these institutional options of ETFs, like crypto ETFs?
Like I said, right? Like any new market, any new industry, usually it's always the retails who go in first, right? Whether
Yeah.
even if it's AI, it's always the smaller devs who try it out, play it out, and then get serious, and then it gets adopted to at a institutional level. Similarly, even in the crypto space, we are going through that phase of people who are just playing around in 2010 on 12, just doing mining, to people who are seriously doing mining today, right? There are big companies who are investing millions of dollars doing mining. And also in terms of trading, right, there are started with people trading at home to now institutions and even big folks who are coming on board. And I think ETF is another big milestone for this, where we are trying to make it more institutional, or going more institutional friendly for the crypto market, and going from retail to crypto. And this has happened for all the industry in the past. So it's a milestone movement for everybody, especially in US, where there's a lot of capital, but there is no legal way of doing this in a better way. And I think this will open up a lot more space for anybody to come on board. So really looking forward to this. I think today or tomorrow, or maybe in a couple of years, this is going to happen. It's just about time.
Those
And
things
one
just
good
do
thing
it.
that we saw yesterday was, even though it was probably a fake news or whatever, but the excitement that you saw in the market shows that
True.
how people are ready for it.
Everybody is the hype and anticipation that we have is hyped up. Just a one small trick and the whole thing comes up.
Absolutely.
So
So
yeah,
a lot of people said that this is priced in, like people knew that ETF is going to come, so it's we are already at a high price. But I think yesterday was a good example to show that no, it's still not priced in. There are still folks who believe and see way for more institutions to come on board.
yeah, agree. And just now speaking of this institution and all this stuff, and we have Robolox that they have kind of integrated XRP into their payments option right now. So this news was also here, a positive news in this day as well. So accepting it. So going ahead, there's another question that I would post regarding Tegro. So Tegro came up with the integration of NFT 20 protocol. Right. So can you explain of how this integration is, smoothing the NFT trading for users?
Right. So the biggest problem about NFTs in general is liquidity. Okay. So if the secondary market is not liquid enough, you don't have buyers don't come and go, right? Because buyers can only buy things if they can sell things.
Yeah.
If they cannot sell easily, it becomes very difficult. Even today, to buy things in bulk and sell things in bulk is very difficult in the NFT space. Thanks to products like Blur, which is revolutionary, right? So we started with OpenSea, where you had
Mhm.
to pick and choose and buy. It was quite retail. Now Blur has become little more institutional, so little more pro trading, and like that we need a next progress where people can buy and sell at a higher quantity and a higher phase. So NFT 20 was an attempt to sort of wrap it so that people can easily buy and sell in high volume and sell in high volume. That's it, as simple as that. And any institution who's been trading, so today what happens is, when you go to an institution and tell them, hey, you know what, you are trading so many millions in Bitcoin, why don't you come and trade NFT? They say, hey, we don't understand that because it's very difficult to trade in NFT. We said, hey, you know what, we'll just make it as simple as trading Bitcoin. now you'll be able to trade, so they are more open to it, right? So it's about, how do we connect these both the worlds together such that they get what they want and these guys get what they want, and these are the solutions that enables it to happen.
So pretty much like crypto and NFT trading are similar on a similar user phase and I mean like interface and stuff.
Yes, yes, of course. So it's just non-fungibility does bring in a little bit of friction in terms of trading. But like if
Hmm.
you see, board apes or whatever, most of the assets are almost traded in the same price. So they are almost being traded as fungible assets. So
Yeah.
our idea is that, hey, how do we just make it much more easier for them to trade high volume?
Moving ahead, another question that I would want to put up is, what's your prediction on this particular industry, like the regulations and the countries adopting in terms of crypto? So, how do you see the regulation space getting more clearer? Like,
Yeah.
to be very
So
exact,
having
the crypto positive nation. Yeah,
Of course, of course. So in 2017, 2018, when the crypto ban, sorry, banking ban came in, we thought it's over, right? Nobody wanted to invest in India primarily because there was so much uncertainty. I think uncertainty is a part of the game. Like even in India, if you're talking about the drone regulation, it took a lot of time for us to have the clarity of how this works. But any business that started in the drone space knew that is the future, right? Drones are the future, and they did pretty well now, right? Like so, to me, almost like going to be a Bitcoin chart, right? It's not going to be a straight line up. You go up, it'll come down, it'll go up, and then but every time we make history, and I think that's more important. It's I mean, to all of us, it's an inevitable future that Bitcoin is going to exist. And if it's going to exist, governments and across the world regulations are just going to adopt it in a way where it is safe for users, right? So there is pros and also cons about Bitcoin. People, some small percentage of people use it for illegal transfers or use case, and the idea is that how do we cut down, which also exists today even in the banking as well as the cash world. It's just that if even if we get those rules together here, we should be able to do it. And you see every year and year every country is bringing in new rules, new regulations, compliances, which basically safeguards the end user. And I think it's definitely going to happen. We just have to keep our focus on. Sometimes you might
yeah.
lose everything, but that's fine. We just have to be at it.
With a good blend of regulation, of course, we can progress forward. That's true. And
Of course.
yeah. So, speaking of these crypto positive nations and regulations, how is the crypto weather there in Dubai? Like, how is the community there in Dubai?
I think it's not very different than rest of the world. Like people think it's very different, but obviously there are a bunch of people who are here, at least the builder part, who want to do certain things. And I've been meeting folks. I think there's a lot of energy in general, and it's the same thing when you go to New York or anywhere else, right? Everybody is sort of pumped about what crypto can do. Especially now, we are in a very testing phase where geopolitical things are happening and trying to see how crypto will react to it. So far, it has been positive. We call Bitcoin as a store of value. Now is the time where that is going to be tested. So I think everybody's back of their mind understands that. They know it's going to be the future. Everybody's doing their part of building it or being part of it in any way they can. So I think, like I said, it's no different than Bangalore or Mumbai or any other place or even Singapore. I think it's everybody is excited across the world. So it's the best part, right? Crypto just makes it a universal thing.
Yeah,
Is there's nothing that is very localized. You can't say that crypto is coming from Asia or West or anywhere. It's from everywhere.
true. An expanded community, large, big, fat fan. That's true. So, yeah. So, and I also heard an interesting about Tegro. Like, you have a certain incubator program or so, like Champions, where you let protocols and projects come and develop, decks and stuff. So, can you give a few more details about that?
Yes, it's not about building decks, but they can build broker models around it. They can, there are a lot of institutions who are waiting for high frequency bots on decks, but that doesn't exist. Developers can easily build that out and earn revenue out of that by selling it to more institutions. So I think there's a lot more potential around it. Building SDKs, building more things on top of our API. We are just slowly opening it up. I think APIs are being beta tested. Hopefully this month end or maybe next month, early next month, we'll have that ready. So this is from a developer point of view. There is this champion program even for people who want to refer more people, traders on board. And there's a whole set of things that you can earn by just doing the work, right? So like I said, it's the way you build in Web3 is very different. You build with people. Everybody, if the project profits, everybody should profit, right? I think that's how we sort of want to see, whether it's profit in terms of knowledge, whether it's profit in terms of whatever things that happen. But essentially, everybody should benefit, and that's how we want to sort of structure it out. So we are focusing on developer, traders, as well as influencers structures, where all of them can benefit in terms of being part of us.
That sounds interesting. So we'll definitely explore it out. And yeah, so as you stated, Web3 is a great community where diverse people, a lot of people from different backgrounds, and with just one point, like to embrace this new innovation and stuff is coming up. So speaking of that, you were also your background, you're from geology, I guess, and you have come inside this tech and now into NFTs and blockchain. So this is a personal question. How was the whole thing? How did you embrace this stuff? How exciting was it?
Yeah, I think one thing we'd all have to understand, at least for me, right? Academics was something that I just wanted to get it done with, right? So I started my first company even while I was in college. I was not in engineering, but I used to build. I used to participate in robotics in engineering college, though I was doing BSc Science, and still won couple of events like top 5, top 6, or something like that. So that is a testament where we say, hey, you know what? It's not it's you don't have to be qualified to do things. If you have the will to do it, you can do it. And that is what I tell everybody, right? Even within the team, when we try to hire, we are looking for people who have the passion to do more things. And if you have that drive, you can do a lot more things. Back in 2017, I used to run Tech Forum, which was one of the biggest in India, where people could come from different part of India and talk about tech, like what you can buy, how you can do things, simple things. And that gave me inspiration to do next thing and next thing. And that's how I got into more of tech. And I used to make Counter-Strike maps, because to play with my friends and learn from them. Hey, okay, so when you make a map, sometimes it's not balanced. It's good for the other side, so you make those changes. But having said that, where we are today is primarily because of this passion of doing something new, or something bigger. We were Before crypto, we never thought we'll get into crypto, but I was doing mining in 2015, just casually, and learning about it, right? And just when I started learning more about it, I felt like there is more to it. And probably in 2018, convinced all of us, all our co-founders, to sort of build WazirX. So there's a lot more to it. I think the bottom line is, if you're passionate about something, keep at it. Doesn't matter what your background is, and that would make or break for you.
True. Agreed. Curiosity drives us all, and that's what crypto is all about right now. Web3 is all about right now. So yeah, that was actually a very good chat and something very positive, Web3 positive chat that I had with you today. And these are all the questions that we thought we'd post out to you. And we wanted to know more about Tegro WazirX and about your passion towards Web3 gaming and NFTs. And thank you so much for taking out your time for us today. Would you like to add something else as an ending note for
No,
this?
I think it's great. Like anybody who's listening in, he's being an entrepreneur or a builder, or even probably somebody who's just getting started, right? I think there's a lot more opportunity for all of you guys. Don't stop yourself. You don't need to build a big project. You can always build something small. If you are out of ideas what to build, reach out to me anytime. Twitter is open for anybody to DM. And yeah, best of luck for everybody to be part of this.
Thank you so much. And I'm sure the news crypto readers are gonna be, like they'll find something positive out of this interview. And thank you so much, Aditi, for providing us with Siddharth. And thank you. And this is my team, Sarla, journalist here, and Kirtika, marketing lead here. So thank you.
Thanks, guys.